This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Talking the stories that are shaping headlines, plus those that make you go,
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Majlis. It is Sunday, the 1st of August, brand new month. Our co-host Abdul Karim is not with us here.
He's not.
He's out there in Greece, and half the people we know are in Greece already.
Right?
So it's going to be one big reunion over there.
But he's enjoying his honeymoon, so
Yeah.
let's just wish him a great honeymoon and a great birthday as well, and a great stay in Greece. I'm sure everyone is enjoying their time over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best wishes there, and we've got a pretty busy show ahead of us.
You have one
this
a
morning.
very busy one.
Yeah, indeed. And we're going to be talking about the prospect of vaccinated people getting infected with the Delta variant and spreading it around. The United States health regulator, the CDC, has got some pretty alarming data on this. It's greatly informing policy, not just in the United States, but around the world. And it's got a lot of people asking, are those vaccines useless when it comes to the Delta variant? We're going to try to answer that this morning.
That's right, and we will be also checking in on what's happening in Turkey, because we are also, over the weekend, we heard that there has been a lot of fires sweeping the country, many areas, many cities in the country, and one of them being Bodrum. Even a lot of holiday makers, they were actually evacuated to the seashores to wait for rescue boats. Yesterday, in Bodrum in particular, they evacuated a lot of hotels and a lot of areas because of those wildfires. So we're going to talk about what caused those wildfires and what's going on, because we've been reporting on a lot of wildfires that have been happening all across the globe, not just over here in the region. And also we will be talking about the state of oil and the state of oil prices altogether, because today is August 1st. So, we're going to have new fuel prices as well. And sadly, it's up again. So we're going to also, tell you how much you're going to be paying more.
Yeah, we certainly will. You're going to be paying more, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Plus, we'll be talking about why Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney. Now, you don't hear about that all the time, an A-lister suing the film production company. So we'll talk all about that on the show this morning. And as always, if you'd like to join us, our text lines are open at 4215.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome back to the program. We're currently discussing the state of travel amid the Delta variant, the vaccine rollouts in various countries, and the up and down case numbers in various places around the world. Starting things off with the United Kingdom, cases are plummeting. Nobody seems to know why, but the outlook is getting better than ever. Reported COVID cases have dropped by 36% just 1 week after England dropped nearly all of its legal coronavirus restrictions, probably because the Euro soccer championships are now over. And it also might be because people are spending more time outdoors overall because the weather's a lot hotter this time around. It also might be because people are reporting fewer COVID results because they want to avoid self-isolation. Nobody really knows the reason why, many theories floating about. But yes, UK cases are plummeting, and it's good news for fully vaccinated visitors coming from the United States and the EU, who, starting tomorrow, they're going to be able to enter England, Scotland, and Wales without quarantining.
A lot of countries are opening up actually for vaccinated tourists. Today is August 1st, so today actually marks the day when Saudi Arabia is reopening its borders as well for foreign tourists after its 17-month closure due to the coronavirus. So, but the thing is that that KSA, they have opened their borders for only fully vaccinated tourists. And they're only doing so for fully vaccinated tourists with Saudi-approved jabs. And those are the Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. They're the only vaccinated personnel who will be allowed to enter the country without the need for an institutional quarantine period. So If you want to obtain a tourist visa, you can apply through the Spirit of Saudi website. It's visitsaudi.com, and you can go ahead after that. And of course, tourists will also need to carry a negative PCR COVID-19 test taken within the last 72 hours, and they can register their details with health authorities. So that's also good news for people who want to go and visit Saudi.
Absolutely is, Rania. And worth noting as well that the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and India are red list countries
That's
to
right.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And recently, Saudi's news agency reported that the country might be setting tougher measures on citizens who break the law by visiting any of those red list countries as well. But yes, indeed, they'll be welcoming fully vaccinated international tourists without the need to quarantine. Now, looking elsewhere around the world, Pakistan is set to demand vaccination certificates from staff entering public offices, schools, transport, shopping malls, and restaurants as well. In essence, they're requiring all public workers, air crew, and passengers to be fully vaccinated. This is despite the fact that, according to Reuters, only 2.7% of the population is fully vaccinated at the moment, so it might be an effort to encourage people to get more vaccines. Looking elsewhere around the world, Australia is set to enforce lockdowns. Australia's largest city, Sydney, has been locked down for 5 weeks so far. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said that the country will continue to use lockdowns to suppress COVID-19 outbreaks until they reach a goal of 70% adults being fully vaccinated.
Kuwait as well. Kuwait announced actually on Tuesday that from August 1st, today, only fully vaccinated citizens will be allowed to travel abroad. Exemptions will be made for children, pregnant women, and those with medical conditions. Also on Tuesday, the country's aviation authority said that all arrivals in Kuwait must have a negative COVID test before they board their flights. They'll also have to home quarantine for 7 days until they take a COVID test inside Kuwait, which comes out negative as well. And of course, we know Greece.
Yes.
It's open for everyone now.
It is, huh?
Literally. I feel like everyone is there.
Guess that's why everybody's going to Greece right now. And it's
a beautiful location, too.
Absolutely gorgeous place
Worth
to be.
a visit.
A little bit worried about AK right now because European Centers for Disease Prevention and Control, they're issuing warnings against non-essential travel to Greece, including the popular destination Mykonos and Santorini.
Oh, that's where he's at.
That's where he's at. That's right. And there's a concern about rising COVID cases there in particular, especially with Greece opening up to tourists around the world. And like I said earlier, everybody, well, a lot of people we know right now, they're in Greece. Yeah,
from Sharjah at least.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, just everybody just stay safe wherever you might be. If I were in Greece right now, I'd try to be as secluded as possible.
Extra careful.
Yeah, just try to go to a small town or something. I think that's the more wise thing to do. But let us know by texting us at 4215 if you have anything to say about the state of travel amid COVID-19, vaccinations, and travel guidelines as well. And if you have any questions, we're more than happy to help you throughout the show. Up next, we're going to be talking about fires sweeping across Turkey. Tourist areas now are being reported as hottest on record. What is going on? Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
Pulse 95. Between local lines. Notes from the Emirate.
His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasmi, the Supreme Council member and ruler of Sharjah, has spoken about the development and work being put in all cities across the Emirate of Sharjah, saying the development projects are the result of careful and extensive study. He said this during the Direct Line program, saying that all the development projects we see in Sharjah cities are the result of deep thought, of discussion, of studies to choose the best and most suitable for the nature of the entire region and its people. And we've been seeing a lot of projects recently built reflecting the overall nature of the emirate. For instance, in Khorfakan, we've seen towers like Nad al-Maqsar and Burj al-Sheikh and al-Mansour Fort. They're all forts built to reflect the rocky nature of Khorfakan's mountains. So every construction project, every development sort of is a deliberate reflection of the culture and heritage and nature of the city that it resides in.
Yeah, and His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi, the Supreme Council member and ruler of Sharjah, commented on this, saying that we find a different nature, for example, in the city of Kalba, when we're talking about Kalba. So he said, His Highness said, when we first enter the city, we see the hanging gardens on the right side, which are just beginning to emerge and whose cultivation took a very long time. And then we see Maiz al-Zahir mountain. It's named after species of mountain goat that lives and breeds in the mountain. And they also have a dedicated area in the site. But we did not release the existing ones because we were waiting to reach the appropriate number, which we have now reached. Thank God for that, of course. Now, in the city of Kalba, His Highness said that we also find the Al Hafia Reserve, according to His Highness. The reserve is home to a variety of animals, birds, and reptiles. And the reserve's end is actually connected by mangroves, which are more than just trees. They're alive, and they're alive with fish, shellfish, and a variety of other species as well. And the mangrove is located behind the open floating theater project on Kalba's Corniche. So everything he said that we do in this region must be in keeping with their natural environment, and it must be natural as well. His Highness also said that we chose the shape of the oyster for the floating theater project based on this idea. He explained that knowing that it is not just an oyster, but rather hama oysters. Hama oysters, there are a variety of marine oyster that is consumed and sold in local markets. And it's one of Sham's most common nesting places as well. In the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah's Sham, this oyster is known as the duok, whereas in Rams, Al Mataf, and Bab Mayrid, it is known as hama. It's a member of the same family, although it is smaller. And His Highness went on saying, I would like to say to the municipality of Ras Al Khaimah that we hope you will prevent the fishing of this oyster because it will be lost in this area. And while it reproduces, the rate of reproduction is insufficient for the process of collecting and selling it.
Yeah, and this seashell-shaped constructions, just so fascinating to look at, especially from a distance. Just looking at the pictures, it is quite striking, and also shows you just the amount of work they're putting into Kalba as well. His Highness the ruler of Sharjah has been touring the city, and they are involved in a lot of projects there as well. They're restoring one of Sharjah's most historic houses. They're also building a clock tower roundabout and revamping the Corniche where this new theater will sit as well. And they also have the Al-Kitab Rest project that is scheduled to open within a year in Kalba, located on one of the peaks of Kalba's mountains at a height of 1,000 meters above sea level. It's going to be home to a restaurant, a cafe, multi-purpose hall, a children's playground, and a unique structure boasting elements of Islamic architecture, topped off by a unique, distinctive dome that stretches 40 meters as well. So a slew of projects in Kalba, including Kalba Heritage Museum, Heritage Mosque Square, which also features a number of heritage and cultural landmarks and constructions, and other sites to benefit the people there as well, like Al Hafia Lake Project and a livestock market as well.
Yeah, and His Highness also talked about villages growing. He said we're also working on a development plan for the communities, which will include a huge number of residential complexes. So the plains will be covered with fruit plantations, and these villages will have a view of these, of course. With God's permission, inshallah. His Highness said that we will adapt these mountains just as we did the mountains of Khorfakan, and the projects in these mountains will be completed without the use of explosives and with modest equipment as well. But he's saying that this year it's Kalba's year.
Yes.
Basically, His Highness the ruler of Sharjah stated that he said that he was listening to the Direct Line program when he heard an official from Kalba say 2022 is the year of Kalba. Then he said, in my mind, I said, what makes you aware? that, God willing, will be the case only. But the future time will see the opening of many additional projects with an opening rate of every 6 or 8 months in Kalba, as all government buildings in the city of Kalba will be developed in the area, starting from the cooperative building and ending with the flag. The university building, as well as all other buildings, will be expanded and designed in the same shapes and patterns as the Sharjah municipality buildings. His Highness also did say that I pay attention to the details. Even I changed the height of the walls surrounding the buildings, as they were 2 meters high in the original design, and made them shorter so that people could watch the photograph and photograph the buildings. And of course, there is no fear of strangers entering these buildings, as they are all surrounded by surveillance cameras as well. And entries to these buildings, they will be from the back, and each building will have an official gate from the front as well. So much is happening, so many development projects in the Emirate of Sharjah altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Exciting ones.
Very, very exciting, just covering all of these beautiful places and going on a tour essentially to them as well. We'll continue to keep an eye out for the developments here in the Emirate of Sharjah and the surrounding cities as well. There's a lot happening in those regions. Stay tuned to Pulse 95. We've got more lined up on the program. This is the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis. Talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome back to the program. Now, Scarlett Johansson's making the headlines. She is suing Disney over the recently released Black Widow movie. This is one of Marvel's biggest stars, this Hollywood A-lister, the actress Scarlett Johansson, stating that Disney breached her contract by releasing the superhero movie Black Widow on its streaming service, Disney+.
I heard another thing as well, that they released her salary or something like that. They leaked her salary in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and businesswoman, and she was very upset about that as well.
They did?
Yeah, that's another reason for that. But I don't know. But the main thing is that the film actually set a box office record for the COVID-19 pandemic. It grossed over $218 million in its first weekend alone. But box office receipts then fell sharply, and Johansson basically argues she was deprived of potential earnings. And in response, Disney said that it had fully complied with her contract and that her case had no merit whatsoever. But Johansson said that she was promised by Marvel Studios, which is owned by Disney, that Black Widow would be a theatrical release. She said she had understood that this is to mean a window of time would pass before it would be streamed. That's a period that has traditionally lasted 90 days. But during the pandemic, a number of Hollywood studios opted to bypass cinemas, and many of which had been closed and released their films online instead. So now that most cinemas have reopened, Disney, along with fellow giant, for example, Warner Brothers, it has chosen to maintain a dual release strategy for their major films. That's what happened with the Black Widow film. So on its first weekend, Black Widow took some $80 million in ticket sales in North America alone, $78 million internationally, plus at least about $60 million in Disney Plus Premier Access rentals. Sources close to the actor, Johansson, whose salary was based on the box office performance of the film, project that she lost $50 million according to media reports.
Yeah, and Disney's handling of this speaks volumes. There's something very, very sketchy about the reason or why they released her salary like that. It's almost as if they're saying, hey, look, we paid you $20 million for coming on this movie. What are you complaining about? And it's like they're weaponizing the public opinion against Scarlett Johansson. People are going to be like, oh, she made $20 million. What is she whining about? Disney, in their statement, also said, quote, the lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. So pretty pointed language there, and clearly trying to leverage the emotions of those reading it as well. Now, Scarlett Johansson is essentially saying there was a breach of contract. You weren't going to put this on the Disney Plus platform. That's what you said in the first place. You said it was going to be in the cinemas, and that's what we based the salary's on. I was going to be getting paid in accordance to the box office proceedings. But then you come around and you release it on the Disney Plus platform, circumventing our agreement and compromising my potential earnings. I feel wronged. I being Scarlett Johansson in this case. And this is what's going on right now. An attorney for Johansson speaking to news media saying it's no secret that Disney's releasing films like Black Widow directly onto Disney Plus to increase subscribers and thereby boost the company's stock price. And it's hiding behind COVID-19 as a pretext to do so. They're saying, Scarlett Johansson's team, that Disney is ignoring the contracts of the artists responsible for the success of these movies. They're saying it's a short-sighted strategy that violates the rights of actors, and they want to prove this in a court of law.
Yeah, her agent said that they have shamelessly and falsely accused her, or Johansson, of being insensitive to the global COVID pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone they and I know she isn't. That's what her agent has said. And her agent went on to note that Johansson has appeared in 9 Disney and Marvel movies, which he said have earned the company billions of dollars in ticket sales. So he did comment that the company included her salary in their press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and businesswoman, as if that were something she should be ashamed of. Scarlett is extremely proud of the work that she and all of the actors, writers, directors, producers, and the Marvel creative team have been part of for well over a decade. So he said that Disney's direct attack on her character and all else they implied is beneath the company that many of us in the creative community have worked with successfully for decades. So again, as you said, Ahmed, Johansson earned only $20 million. It's hefty for us when we're listening to it, like, that's a lot of money. But for the earnings for the film and her being the star of the film, that's kind of like, just pocket money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So she only earned $20 million to appear in the Black Widow film, which is a spin-off of the lucrative Avengers series, according to a statement released on Thursday. However, the actress' legal team is arguing that the company's decision to make the film available to rent for $30 on Disney Plus kind of depressed the overall box office results, costing the actress tens of millions in potential bonuses that were tied to ticket sales as well. So they contend that Johansson was guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release in her contract, which Disney violated when it introduced a hybrid distribution plan. And Disney hit back in an unusually personal terms on Thursday, stating that the actress's claims were without merit.
Well, there's a lot of money on the line right now, $50 million in fact, and Scarlett Johansson stands to earn a lot of money via court settlement right now. We'll have to see how the legal proceedings go. But just looking at Twitter right now, the way people are talking about this case, it's a pretty big PR nightmare for Disney. Everyone's on Scarlett's side, it seems, depicting Disney as sort of exploiting the actors and not really giving them a fair share of the streaming revenues. But do join the conversation. Text us at 4215. Let us know what you think of this development and much more here on the Majlis. Up next, we've got the business headlines, plus more developments from the region and around the world.
If you liked this episode of the Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.